I congratulated her and amongst the other scientists simply on the grounds that she has in ethics, in science ethics, in ethics when dealing with Indigenous people and Indigenous nationhood. And I'm proud of the woman for actually behaving and seeking research that would be constructive for Indigenous people and Maori. And that's the message I tried to put yesterday into that conference, is that we should work with ethics when dealing with the intellectual property of tangata whenua.
With what's going on here today is the tracking of the DNA of our people. For years we've been told where we come from, and here today confirms to me of all the aspects of what we've been told about where we come from, confirms my whakaaro about all these issues that have been going around for years. Yes, very interesting, and that's a good point to take back to our people.
Māori were selecting different varieties of the crops that would grow much better in New Zealand, and they changed the agricultural practices, as you'll know, a lot from what the agricultural practices were in Polynesia to try and deal with a colder climate here. So in a sense you could consider that some biotechnology.
If you present your work to Māori and Māori go, yeah, that's cool, I can see the benefits of that work, I can see that the risks are, minimal or whatever. If Māori accept it, then I think that society in general will feel a lot more comfortable with it. And I think for the science community is getting more of a feel around the importance of those sorts of relationships with Māori communities.
So I'm a geneticist at Victoria University in the Alan Wilson Centre. My main research is on tuatara, and I also work a little bit on native birds as well. I've been chosen to give this presentation because I use quite a lot of these genetic techniques in the lab, and I've had to submit permit applications to IRMA in the past in order to do this kind of work and consult with iwi and so on. So I'm mostly going to be talking about, from a biological perspective, what we mean by low-risk genetic modification. I don't know a huge amount about the actual regulations surrounding it, so if you have questions about that sort of thing, you're probably better to ask people from IRMA.
It's about Māori actually seeing how they can benefit from those technologies and utilise those technologies in a way that's appropriate to Māori. So that's the next step, and I think that this forum is a really good forum for Māori to actually think about that advancement and how to move ahead. And that would be the key thing for me.
One of the concerns that we have is we continually are faced with multiple challenges, especially as Māori. We're resource poor in terms of our people on the ground with the time, the knowledge and the finances to actually pursue those conversations. Having said that, I don't think we should be afraid to step into the conversation and have that. And again, we have many of our whānau without large access to primary opportunities. So therefore, again, if there's cutting edge opportunity, then we need to step into that conversation, see how we can fit and benefit from it.
What I'm hoping to take away from this this particular wānanga is an appreciation of where the Maori network is, because in my involvement with IRMA, I say over 5 or 6 years, I've seen a tremendous growth, one in knowledge, confidence to deal with scientists, and therefore I sense here a willingness to go on to another level, right? And it's interesting that there's old arguments not coming up here. They're dealing with everything that's new, everything that's fresh, commenting and progressing. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I see in the value of these wānanga is that, as I said earlier, they update themselves on what all the latest scientists might be doing in genetics and DNA stuff, and then they're now ready to face the next year or two, confident that they're fully informed with where IRMA is, where science is. And my hope is, or my prediction would be, that over the next year or two, as new hearings or applications or all those kind of things that IRMA has to face come on board, they'll be up with the play and be able to comment and give some feedback, which is exactly what IRMA needs.
Well,
we all know that tuatara is special, a taonga, as New Zealanders. That's how tuatara are recognised. They're actually recognised internationally as very special as well, and part of that is because they are unique.
I think some of the key messages for the science community are, again, going out and actually meeting people face to face. There's just no substitute for that. And also listening really closely. Not just, the science can be very focused, I think, sometimes on teaching. But the other side of teaching is learning, of course. Everyone's a teacher, everyone's a student. And that's why hui like this are so important, I think. So I think those key lessons, but also just to go to hui like this, go out and meet people, ask questions, and be a student.